Hey, what's going on, guys? It's Yoji. Welcome to a video in which I will tell you about my League starting character in Fireball Ignite Inquisitor. As you may know, Ignite has been hugely buffed in 3.8 Blight League by adding a Ignite damage over time or a fire damage over time multiplier to the passive tree and to some gear pieces as well, which essentially gives Ignite a huge extra more multiplier to rely on when it comes to dealing damage. And in the past, Ignite has struggled a little bit. A lot of the skills that were used mostly for applying Ignites, which had a huge inherent multiplier, such as Incinerate, Flame Blast, and Divine Ire with the Stormfire Ring, always had a little bit of a problem of being a bit weird to apply, not having the greatest AoE coverage. So if we were looking for a boss killing build, most of those were fine damage wise, while not at the top end, but did not clear all that well. For clear, most people relied on Fireball if they wanted to play a clearing Ignite build, or Arc would also work, especially pre-nerf. Now, in this day and age, Ignite is actually super nice for damage, and I would imagine a Divine Ire or a Flame Blast Igniter would do insane bossing damage at this point, because they basically added, let's say, roughly 100% multiplier to the damage if you are non-crit based, which my character is. And if you are crit based, you can even do such things as use Perfect Agony or the Kalitos Flask to add half of your crit multiplier to as a damage multiplier to your ignites as well. Which would probably result in even more boss damage than this character has. Now keep in mind, this is not a character that I would normally recommend for a League start, which is the reason why I never made a League starting type of guide for this build before I started playing the League. I never made a, this is what I'm going to play, this is how you can start this, especially in solo self-found. I would not recommend this as a starter for beginner players. It can work, but it takes quite some gear and something really OP currently, such as a Summoner, but also something like Essence Drain Contagion if you want to play a dot build, or Earthquake, for example, would work much smoother in solo self-found at this patch and in the current state of the game. But with that said, I actually picked this build because it needs a bit more gear to scale, so I have something to work towards and keep playing this character for longer. As you might have noticed on my channel, this has been kind of an ongoing theme, me trying to push higher levels, me trying to see what I can do to keep the longevity of single characters, because normally what I enjoy the most in each Path of Exile League is my very first character and enjoying like the whole progression from the very start to like all the way to endgame, right? So that's what I'm currently trying to do, and it's worked out really well. As you can see in the background footage, I actually encountered a tier 14 synthesis boss, which can now be randomly offered by Zana, which had double onslaught and like quite a lot of crazy mods, as well as all the mobs in the zone before, dropping crap tons of currency, which was really fun and really cool, especially for SSF. Getting extra currency orbs like such as alchemy orbs, scourings, and so on can be really huge. I think this was mostly quality though, so it was like tons of GCPs, which also is pretty good. And the boss fight itself, I've not played Synthesis enough to actually get to any of these boss fights, so this is the first time for me trying the boss, which results in me dying one time, but I think this goes to show how decent this character is overall. Great maneuverability, with the movement skills, decent enough boss damage to take down a tanky boss such as this, as well as even with the current pretty damn crappy gear, the tankiness is like off the charts. Really nice sustain of ES and of life, as well as immunity to most ailments, which is permanently up, as well as immunity to bleed in its current state. So all that can really like harm this boss is harm this character is like straight up one shots. Or like really poor play. But if you play well, as you can see, like I was actually pretty on point with my dodging at the beginning of the fight. You can actually like do probably all bosses in the game, which I will still try to do. But for the likes of Uber Elder, I probably lack a little bit more damage, as my DPS is currently in the 200,000 Shaper DPS range, which should be enough to do Shaper easily and smoothly once I get there. I'm currently doing tier 13s and 14s. I've cleared all tier 14s now on my Atlas, so I'm currently trying to progress towards Shaper and then eventually Uber Elder once I get better gear. Talking about gear, let's have a look at the characters' gear and passives, and I can show you around my build a little bit. Let me show you around a little bit. So this character is a level 94 Inquisitor, calling YojiIgnites, and a lot of you might be wondering, why does this Inquisitor not go crit, because most people, when they go Inquisitor, take this path, which is the righteous providence into inevitable judgment, to make your crits ignore elemental resistances, which is a really good note. But since I'm going non-crit mainly for utility purposes, so I wanted to pick up the utility from Pious Path and Sanctuary, and as well Instruments of Virtue. As well as just have it easier gearing in Solo Southbound, because going full out crit would have been very strenuous on my passives as well as my gear, and I wanted easier gearing process, and I figured I could probably reach high enough DPS and especially very high tankiness simply by going non-crit. So what I pick up is here Sanctuary, which gives you consecrated ground, applies damage taken to enemies, which is not that great. It's like really hard to use. If an enemy is chasing you around and you're kiting him, yeah, you can apply it, but otherwise, not so much. You have consecrated ground on you while stationary. What that looks like is when you walk and then you stand still, the ground breaks because you're way too fat and heavy. And that's what it looks like when you apply consecrated ground. See here, your consecrated ground grants 6% life regen, which is quite a lot. As you can see, the character has a whopping 780 life regen just by existing. And then if I press my Cinder Swallow Urn, which is a really great flask, I could get it from the Mastermind fight, which is another 3% life regen, I get to close to 1,000 life regen, which is 9. So it's like I'm regening like more than almost 20% of my life per second, which is pretty juicy. And at the same time, I'm regenerating energy shield per second. My energy regen per second is 200, which is also pretty good. If you have 2000, it's like another almost 10%, maybe like 18 or 17% ES regen. And that comes from the Pious Path. The Pious Path gives you 200%, no, not 200%, 200 energy shield regenerated per second while on consecrated ground, and the fact that consecrated ground on you lingers for 4 seconds. That means even if I don't stand still, as you can see in the above corner here, if I don't stand still, my consecrated ground sticks around for 4 seconds. And all I have to do to reactivate it is cast, because while casting you stand still, and then it's up again. And it gives me immunity to all ailments, so I don't have to worry about freeze, shock, ignite, chill. Great. Gives me a crap ton of attack and cast speed, 20% each. Another 30% cast speed and 20% attack speed here, some more here. Pick up a little bit of attack speed and cast speed here as well, which gives me, there's also a cast speed on this. And yeah, we got pretty nice cast speed here as well, which makes the skill build feel really smooth, really quick, and really snappy and fast to play, which is awesome. I have happened to find the Watcher's Eye, which gives me unaffected while bleeding, while under the effect of Malevolence, which it happens to be one of the 2 auras I'm running. I'm running a Malevolence max level, running a Discipline max level, and I'm running a Clarity to sustain my mana a little bit better, because the Fireball's cost at 100 mana per cast is not too low. It's only a level 6 Clarity, which works out perfectly fine. Even if you're not using an Enlighten, you can still sustain mana decently well. And that is also thanks to the Inquisitor, which gives you 15 flat mana regeneration. So I'm sustaining mana just with this, without a Mana Flask, even though Mana Flasks have been buffed. And the reason for that is mainly this node and Clarity, as well as picking up Arcane Will as well, which also grants some ES, because we are, as you might have noticed, a hybrid ES life build, so I pick up some ES nodes, but not that many. And overall, mainly pick up like all the fire damage multi, which is here, Holy Fire and Divine Judgment, and I anoint Arsonist, because that is at the butt of the passive tree, like right here where nobody wants to go. So I just anointed that, and I passed through Growth and Decay. You also might notice I do not have a Rolling Flame Jewel, which is the Fireball Threshold Jewel, because it didn't drop yet. Yes, I got a Watcher's Eye that I can use before I even got a Rolling Flame. Happens. I have a nice 4-prop Jewel. The crit chance on there helps me a little bit with EO. I proc my EO by using Stormbrand. I have a Stormbrand set up with Curse on Hit, Flammability, some increased crit support with quality, and the Curse on Hit support. That's basically how I apply that. 2 Opal Rings just for damage. Also the shock nearby enemies while you focus. This is the focus skill. So when I press that for the next 4 seconds, nearby enemies are shocked, which is really nice because it applies 20% increased damage. Allows me to get that effect without running Skitter Boys. So that's always good. I have a Tabula, which I farmed, 44% increased damage. Eventually this will become a Shaper, +1 to socketed active gems chest, like spell gems, but I don't have that yet. I don't have a chest yet to craft. I'm currently farming that, trying to farm an eye level 80 Shaper ES base, but it didn't drop yet. This maze is pretty decent, has some fire damage multiplier crafted, some fire damage, elemental damage implicit, and +1 to all fire gems. This allows me to get +1 to this fireball here. Then I will eventually, hopefully, maybe get a double corrupted 21 Val Fireball. Quality on Fireball, by the way, doesn't matter. It's Ignite chance, and we are capped on that without the quality. And then on the shield, I also want +1 to all fire gems, and then on here, so at the end, maximum would be a level 24 Fireball. I think level 23 is probably very achievable in SSF. 24 is very, very, very lucky if you get a Val Fireball 21 Corrupt, which is definitely possible, but it's hard to get, because you have to farm the Val Temple. I run a cast when damage take the Steel Skin setup. I also put Waveform Conviction in there for random, the random chance to get some useful exposure. Not sure. They just didn't have any better gems yet. I want a portal gem, but that just didn't happen yet. And Spirit Offering. Put a random offering because it's useful since this recharges one charge when I consume an ignited corpse. Since most corpses will be ignited, well, because I'm fireballing and igniting everything. This hopefully recharges charges randomly every now and then, but it's not like something you need. If you have a better idea of something to put in here, do it. I don't want to put a curse because I want to keep my flammability up on bosses. Auras we talked about. I have fast attacks 2020, fortify, shield charge, just for moving around, and I have a flame dash for more moving around. And that's really it. Yeah, I said I would put a portal gem if I had one, and that's really it. You can put Arcane Surge on your flame dash, and I think in fact I should be doing that, but I didn't, so I will do that after this video. And that means I can generate that, but it's only a little bit of mana regen. The cast speed is nice. The spell damage is not that great because spell damage does not scale the ignite, only the initial hit of the fireball, so it's not all that important. Alright, anything else I want to talk about? Oh yeah, pantheons. My pantheon makes me poison immune, so I'm poison immune, unaffected by bleed, and with the Inquisitor I am immune to chill, shocks, and ignites, so I basically have to be really dumb to die to any of that. It's almost impossible. So only thing I need on flasks is curse removal. This one has bleeding, but it doesn't need it. But I didn't really find out anything more useful yet. I didn't reroll. I think I don't have the alterations currently to reroll that because I was trying to roll the shield and used all of them. But yeah, it's instant alive flask is good. This isn't even quality yet. Shame on me. This is a Quicksilver. This ideally would be an Alchemist Quicksilver of Adrenaline, but yeah, as I said, takes a lot of alterations to roll that, and this would also ideally have reduced flask charges used, and the increased attack speed is really nice. That's something we can free up by having the immunity, so we don't have to have that on flask. Gives us 10% increased attack speed for moving around even faster. Other than that, there's not really too much going on with the character currently. As I said, farming a +1 shield, farming a +1 chest, then maybe get some more damage on my amulet, maybe get a little bit better helmet. This is just like life and resists in the S. And these are also not all that special, just like life resists on an opal. What's also really nice, yeah, another kind of almost immunity of 65% chance to avoid being stunned if you killed recently, combined with the cannot be stunned if you stunned recently, or not recently, but in the past 2 seconds from Brine King, makes me not stun immune, but makes it so I don't get stunned all the time. And hybrid builds kind of have a problem, same with Mind Over Matter builds, that they don't have a too high life total, so once you get to higher maps, you get stunned a lot. This does help with that quite a bit. Oh yeah, this jewel that I'm using is the Void of Chill and Freeze. Doesn't really do anything. It's just 30 life and some damage if I killed recently. This could also be very easily be replaced and improved upon, but currently I don't have any better gear. This is all I could find yet. I think once I got all the upgrades I needed, this will do a lot of damage. I'm running my Fireball with Deadly Elements, which is the largest more multiplier you can get. Ignite Proliferation, which is a decent more multiplier, as well as gives us the Proliv. Burning damage support, just simply for damage. Combustion, which reduces enemy fire resistance, as well as gives us cap chance to ignite. This is like the last few percent we need, and some more fire damage as well. And lastly, we do have GMP, which you don't have to use, but you can use. You can also use something else, but I like GMP because it gives you a little bit of nicer clear and nicer feeling of that. If you want even nicer clear, you could replace increased burning damage with the likes of, for example, fork support, which would make your clear through the roof, because all the projectiles would also fork into 2 projectiles after hitting an enemy, making sure you definitely clear absolutely any pack. You can also grab Pierce. What you could do, you could anoint piercing shots, which is quite expensive, but yeah, that would give you 2 additional pierces, or you could use the Poacher's Aim Jewel, which gives you 1 additional pierce and is even a quest reward that I sadly didn't pick, otherwise I could have tried it, but I might mule it at some point. Not sure yet if I really feel like I need it. I'm pretty happy with the clear of the character. I picked up this node for 0.2% ES Leech. You can also get ES Leech on a Flask, or you can just pick up this node if you don't want to path all the way up here. I think a little bit of ES Leech goes a long way to just making ES Sustain feel a tiny bit smoother and a tiny bit nicer. On top of like what you already have on Sustain. And yeah, lastly we have Augury of Penitence, gives you some help against elemental damage dealt by nearby enemies, as well as lets enemies take 16% increased elemental damage. That on top of our flammability, on top of our combustion resistance reduction, on top of our, what do you have? What else do we have? Oh yeah, our shock. That's 36% increased damage taken, as well as quite a bit of reduced resistances, which, as I said, results in roughly 200,000 Shaper DPS, which is on paper just the tooltip without all the reduction and increases. It's about not quite 150k, it's 145k tooltip ignite DPS. Alright, I hope you enjoyed this video and learned a lot about this character. Oh, by the way, this Flask is OP. Like, while clearing, you basically regenerate a crap load of life, and ES, and also mana, which is not that needed. So yeah, this Flask makes or breaks the build. If you don't have this, this build will feel quite a bit worse while clearing, but it's still doable. I was still able to clear until I was able to get this Flask from the Mastermind fight. So that definitely helps. Alright, if you're new to this channel, enjoyed the build, enjoyed the video, feel free to subscribe. Until then, I'm Yoji, and I will see you nerds in the next one. Oh, and thanks to all my awesome Patreon people. I always forget that, but you're awesome, guys. You're awesome. Very awesome. It's just new to me that that's part of the video now. Keep rocking. Bye.